What's up, everybody? I just got back from my screening of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I can proudly say I walked out with a huge smile on my face. I really loved this movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp is once again directed by Peyton Reed, the director of the first, and it wisely picks up right after the events of Captain America's Civil War, but before the events of Avengers Infinity War, and it follows Scott Lang after he gets home from the airport battle in Germany in Civil War, and he is forced to pay the consequences of his actions because he indeed did break the Soviet Accords by siding with Captain America, and he is now on house arrest. Luckily, he is contacted by Hope and Hank Pym, who believe he could be the problem thanks to a vision he has. They believe he can be the key to solving the insolvable problem of the quantum realm. So basically, Scott Lang gets bailed out of house arrest by them and has to go on the adventure of solving the quantum realm while still avoiding the FBI, who of course, is hot on his tail for breaking the Soviet Accords. But although they are challenged to solving the problem of the quantum realm when a mysterious character named Ghost appears with mysterious abilities to try to stand in their way. This movie is very well done. 2018 just seems to be the year of the superhero sequel, if not surpassing, living up to the expectations of the first one. Incredibles 2, Deadpool 2, and now Ant-Man and the Wasp being the sequel. This movie is so well done. First of all, I love how unique of style and tone the Ant-Man movies are. We are 19 films into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have seen it all, but yet no two movies feel quite exactly the same. The Guardians movies have their distinct style and tone. The Avengers movies have their distinct style and tone. And the Ant-Man movies feel more comedic, and they don't take themselves too seriously, and they very much benefit from that. This comedic delivery of the Ant-Man movies, thanks to Paul Rudd, who reprises his performance once again as Scott Lang, the supporting cast and the writing, the comedic writing in general, you can tell all the actors had a lot of fun making this movie, and it really shows. The main guy who plays the FBI security agent, the head of the FBI who's investigating Scott's case, he is not played as a serious, hardened character. He has a lot of laughs, and when one of the problems of the movie, one of the villains, when you're laughing at what he does, you feel like, oh, I can sit back, I can take a break, I can have fun in this movie. The style and tone of these movies are very well done. In a sense, I felt like I was watching a blooper reel half the time, and while that could sound bad, it very much benefits. I love the humor. This is a very good comedy film. There are a lot of recurring jokes. There are a couple throwaway lines and one-liners, but that's okay. The writing in general, comedic-wise, is very well done. I also love how this movie expands on what, like a good sequel should, I love how this movie expands on the premises of the first. For example, you watch the first Ant-Man movie, Paul Rudd is being explained to Evangeline Lilly, who once again plays Hope. She very much is better than him because she trains him. She knows more about the Ant-Man suit and technology. She's a better fighter. So when she finally gets her Wasp costume, it's like, oh yeah, she should be a lot better at being an Ant-Man or Ant-Woman. She should be a lot better than Scott is because she trained him. So that all makes sense. I love the new directions they took her character in this movie. There's a lot less tension between her and Scott because, of course, a lot of the problems of the first movie were already solved. Michael Douglas once again returns as Hank Pym. I love what they're doing with his character. It was great to see him back. And of course, I love the supporting cast. As far as the action of these movies being benefited by the supporting cast. Marvel movies have they never have dull supporting cast, but they definitely vary in quality. The Ant-Man movies have some of my favorite supporting cast, mostly spearheaded by the performance of Lewis. The performance of Michael Pena as Lewis is one of the best things the MCU has come across. This guy is such a pleasure to watch on screen. His comedic, his smile, his charm, his charisma, it is so energetic, and it's such a welcome to the MCU. His mile-a-minute delivery is such a welcome, and it's really sad that we don't get to see that these Marvel movies have so much underrepresentation. It's very sad to see that. It's awesome to see a character like Lewis being a minority, being a Mexican, but not at all coming across as just a stereotypical Mexican dude. And I like how these movies go out of their way to show that, especially in the first movie where they showed that Lewis is actually very cultured. He attends wine tastings and he loves abstract art. This Lucas dude is not a Mexican stereotype, but he still has to remain in certain confines as a side character. I wish that Marvel characters included more Latinos and more minorities. And this movie and this predecessor does such a good job. If you want more of my thoughts as far as Marvel and the lack of Latinos, I will leave a link below for my extended researched analysis of that. But just Lewis is the best, and he gets more screen time in this movie. That's what's so awesome. Lewis gets more to do, and that is just so entertaining during the action scenes and when they just have to explain what's going on. The comedic tone in Ant-Man and the Wasp is greatly helped by just how much this movie is self-aware. It knows what it is. It knows it's another superhero movie, and it has so much fun with that. It has so much commentary on, and just it plays with the tropes of common heist movies, of common superhero movies, and that's just a joy to watch, because if it took itself too seriously, you would sit back, you would roll your eyes and say, oh, it's another superhero movie that's just doing what everyone else does. But for all its humor and comedic moments, it also has a good amount of heart. The young actress who plays Cassie and her scenes with Paul Rudd and Scott Lang are very touching and very heartwarming. Paul Rudd often acts as the audience surrogate in a lot of the comedic scenes, and that joke somewhat got old. Okay, we get it. Scott is the clueless idiot. He is a down-to-earth guy, and he's lovable. He's a great father. But he's just an average dude who doesn't understand all the quantum realm and all the sciencey stuff, so when Hank Pym explains it, he has to go, okay, cool. Now what? Like, we got that. That joke got a little old sometimes, but Scott Lang is still a very lovable character. I love the heart in this movie. I love the supporting cast. The action is so unique in these movies. The action scenes are so well done because, like a sequel should, they expand on the premises of the original. In the first movie, they're like, okay, we have these discs. Throw it at something. It becomes big. We have these discs. Throw it at something. They become small. That premise alone is the most of what the action scenes are constructed of, and it's so cool how they find creative and inventive ways to use that premise in their action scenes. The Wasp was awesome, but yet Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, he just keeps getting better as Ant-Man and doing Ant-Man things. So the action in this movie was absolutely awesome. If I had one complaint about Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's that the villain is kind of spread thin. Their motivation made sense. It made sense in the confines of the story, and you could actually argue that they're not a villain at all. I really like that. That takes the marks of a great villain, but my biggest problem with them is that they don't have any suspense. They just hop on the scene and you're like, oh, wait, they have all these mysterious powers that have to do with the plot. I don't really understand that. But then the movie just kind of gives it to you and says, this is the villain. This is their origins. This is why they do what they do. Like, just a couple of scenes after they're introduced, and you're like, if you would have built that through suspense, I would have appreciated that reveal even more. But either way, I really enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp. Lewis gets more screen time, and he absolutely steals the show once again. So that it has that movie, that going for it. I am going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp 4 out of 5 stars. I very much enjoyed it. It is so much better than its original. This movie, 2018, is just the year of superhero sequels that live up to the original. I am Pac. Thanks so much for hearing my perspective. Please follow the links below and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever social media you use the most. And let me know how you liked Ant-Man and the Wasp, how you like it compared to the superhero sequels of this year. Tell me how you like this video. Please leave a like, subscribe, and share. I am Pac. Thanks so much for hearing my perspective. And about for now.